Hello everyone, my name is Joshua. This is the 63rd video on my video journal series. Today's date is Sunday, the 12th of April 2026. And something I want to share with you today is the saying that Sunday is the first day of the week. And today is Sunday, so that's what popped in my mind. I guess if you talk to the religious folk or, someone like my mom, they'll say that Sunday is the beginning of the week. But if you know, go to anyone else in my family or those around you, they'll say, "Oh yeah, Monday's the first day of the week." And which one's correct? And my answer is kind of both. So I'm always with the assumption that Monday is the start of the week. However, the reason why I guess certain religious people and the older generation say Sundays because, well, Sunday is the day of rest. That's when you know something related to the Bible, how God rested on the final day and um, looked over his creation or whatever, and they argue that Sunday, day of rest, is supposed to be the first day of the week, but that doesn't really make much sense because if you read the Bible Genesis, you'll say that God rested on the last day. So if God rested on Sunday, then that would have been the last day. So I really don't get that assumption that Sunday's the first day of the week. Monday's the first day of the, I guess, working week, and I can kind of see how, you know, some people may view it in a religious context as Sunday, at the as the beginning of the week. But I guess in that sort of sense, it can be true. But to me, it just overcomplicates things because Sunday's part of the weekend, not week beginning. But come to think about it, it kind of makes sense, for I guess much of human history, and I guess for some countries now, which working from Monday to Saturday is really common, and then Sunday is the day of rest. So I guess you know in some countries today, I believe they still do this. I know in countries like Italy, children go to school from Monday to Saturday. Same with Japan. And then Sunday's like their day of rest. So I guess you can sort of view it from that perspective. Like, all right, since Saturday's not really like a weekend for them, I guess like Sunday can technically be a new beginning. But to me, that just overcomplicates things way too much. But I guess the Industrial Revolution, and I guess the rise of factory jobs, jobs in the city, everyone just viewed Monday as the start of the week because it was the start of the working day. You clock in at Monday, leave on Saturday, then you get Sunday rest. And obviously, over time, it's now shifted to you get Saturday, Sunday off, which has formed the weekend. So that's why I guess a lot of people saw Monday as the start of the week and Sunday as the end of the week. And that's how I viewed it. But there's a lot of people who just, say, I guess, the contrary, that Sunday's the beginning of the week. And I've been trying to, think in that mindset, and it really just changes your experience because everyone hates Mondays, right? When you have to go back to the office, go back to work. But, if you view Sunday as the beginning of the week, I feel like that could be a lot more better for you mentally. And here's why, because we all dread going back to school or work on Mondays. But if you view Sunday as the beginning of the week, then you view yourself as essentially getting a head start. Because you view, all right, well, start of the week, I've already got a day off. That's cool. What if I just, start this week off on Sunday by doing all the work or some of the work I need to do on Monday, or doing some, I guess, activities, like Sunday fun day, or, just doing some house cleaning or doing some simple chores to get you warmed up for Monday. So when Monday comes around, you're not like a sloth, and I guess you carry that, I guess, momentum uh, throughout the rest of the week. And I feel like when I try, I guess, thinking from that perspective, it really just changed my attitude towards Mondays. And obviously, like in my mind, whenever I think solid week, I always think Mondays. But if I start to view it as Sunday, then I often dread Mondays a lot less, if you know what I mean. It sounds really weird saying it, but I feel like unfortunately now I'm going to be one of those like nerds who going to say, "Oh, sure, technically Sunday is the beginning of the week." Well, I feel like that sort of perspective, whenever you view Monday as the start of the week or Sunday as the start of the week, really just changes your attitude towards certain things. And I feel like if you view Sunday as the beginning of the week, even if other people were to say it was correct or incorrect or, well, actually, I feel like, you know, from that little just change, you can really get a lot done. And I feel like you'll just dread Mondays a lot less. And like for me, right, I always view the weekend as basically getting ahead of schoolwork, doing all the required readings, working on assignments. That key thing is just momentum, all right? Basically, not doing a whole lot of work in a single day, but doing small portions of work because it's important that you build up your progress rather than building it up, then pause, building it up, and then pause. It's best to get that consistent flow of things, to be constantly going up like this, a very slow increase rather than jumping up and then stagnating, jumping up, stagnating. Um, it's just important to keep that curve up with like productivity. Um, Obviously rest on the weekends, but do a little thing. Just even if it's just vacuuming the floors or cleaning up your room or whatever, just keeping that, I guess, work ethic up. And I always view weekends as basically getting a start on work, getting a start on what I have to do next week because I often do a lot of my planning over the weekends, putting things in my schedule, submitting assignments. Um, and a week is quite a lot, You ever heard the expression like a day is long, but a week is short? So there's like a lot of things you have to do in a week, but because of that, time just seems to go by like insanely fast. Like a week to me just goes like that, just like in hyperbole, like seconds, but in all actuality, it's just it's just really, really, really fast. It almost seems like me clicking my fingers like that. That's how fast the week goes for me. Because I got a lot to do, and Monday is quite a slow day. You're kind of dreading it. And then Tuesday is like non-existent. Basically, Tuesday is kind of like that fuzzy memory in your brain. You're like, does Tuesday really exist? It's like nothing important or nothing noteworthy ever happens on Tuesdays for me. I feel like Tuesday is just like the hangover of Monday, basically. Like, it's just always like a blip in my schedule, It goes like, it's just like really weird Tuesdays, if you know what I mean. It's just, it goes by way too fast. You don't remember whatever happened on Tuesday. No one ever pays any attention to Tuesday because they're still like, I guess, carrying on for Monday. And then Wednesday, as soon as you reach Wednesday, it's like that midpoint of the week. It is basically the middle of the weekday. Sorry, weekday, not week. And I guess like Wednesdays, as soon as you hit the Wednesday mark, you're like, all right, I need 2 more days to go until I reach like, you know, well, technically, 2 full days until I reach like Friday night, which is basically the start of the weekend. So yeah, like Wednesdays are like a more like significant and I guess a lot more memorable Tuesday. It sounds really weird saying this, but like when Tuesdays are like a blip, like you forget what happens on Tuesdays. Wednesdays are a lot more important. I feel like obviously a lot of businesses are open on Wednesdays, like especially like theme parks and all that. They usually open like Wednesdays, Saturday, Sunday, or Wednesday or Saturday or whatever. That's because Wednesday is like right in the center of the weekday. So you think to yourself, man, I've already gotten like halfway through the weekday. I can do this. And then Thursdays are kind of like Tuesdays. Like they're just like a blip. Like Thursdays go by incredibly like fast as well. And when Friday comes around, well, obviously Friday's like the, I guess, more chill day. Everyone wants to go home, everyone wants to go out, go to the pub or whatever. So that's why I like coming to school on Fridays, which sounds weird. Like, why would you come to school on Friday when you can just stay home? Well, because I like having classes on Friday because the teachers don't really like. I guess they're not like super strict or anything like that. They're more like laid back. They understand you, right? They don't want to be held back in the classroom at 4 o'clock on a Friday. They just want to go home, you know. And it's really chill. Friday classes, and I use Friday, um, basically like the first, not the first half of Friday, but up until maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon, just using that time from when I wake up, go to university, up until around the start of the evening to basically get as much work as I can possibly get done within that time frame. So then I have less work to do over the weekend and next week. And then, yeah, you have the rest of the Friday evening to yourself, which is fun. Um, and, obviously you rest and get to sleep in on Saturday, which is the best feeling. And then Sunday, the beginning of the week, depending on who you ask, begins. And I noticed like video entries kind of been all over the place. I talk about Sunday, then Saturday, then synopsis of the whole week. But that's what's really just been on my mind recently. And I guess you know, like I said earlier, like I've been trying to, I guess, view Sunday as the beginning of the week, even if I don't wholly agree with that argument. I feel like viewing Sunday as the beginning of the week kind of gives you like a head start. I guess like it makes you dread Mondays a lot less because you view the first day of the week as basically a treat. It's a day off, which I guess I experienced when, for the longest time, I didn't have um, any school classes on Monday for university. I made that deliberate decision not to have any classes on Monday, so then that way I get an extended weekend. But I think it made me dread Mondays a lot less because I'm like, oh, I don't have to go to uni. I could just stay home, have an extra day off, and to me, having that first day of the week off, I guess puts you in a better mood. Um, so yeah, like you can theoretically argue, like, um, what is the start of the week? Why not Thursday or Wednesday? Well, because Monday is the start of the working day. But, if we go based off religion or what the older folks say, where they say, oh, Sunday's beginning of the week, because that's what they were taught about in school, I feel like, yeah, just really, I guess, like, even though nothing really changes, you still get the same amount of time off. It really just changes your perspective. And I guess, when you start off the week, right, you want to start off with a strong start. You don't want to start off on a Monday where it's like dreadful and you're not in the mood. If you start off with the week in a good mood and get that strong start of things, you'll make that progress, that momentum. And you'll be able to do a lot more things. You'll be a lot more productive throughout the week. I mean, nothing's going to avoid the fact that you have to go into the office or clock in on Mondays after 2 days of sleeping in. But I feel like, if you get over Mondays really, really well and you punch Monday in the face, basically, you conquer it, that means the rest of your week is basically um, it's yours to claim, basically. You can conquer the rest of your week and you can slowly build up that strength and momentum and that work ethic up and up. You can knock out Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday comes along and you look back and you're like, man, I did a lot this week. You're extremely productive. And that's how I like to view things. So yeah, I'm not longer, I guess, sad about Mondays. I'm pretty sure I made a video about the Monday blues, but or Sunday blues was I always get getting confused. That feeling on Sunday where you're like, oh, I have to go back on Monday. I'm dreading it. Well, view it in a different way. View Sunday as being of the week. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to be old or whatever. View Sunday as basically a head start, essentially, to get things done over the weekend. To get things done for the rest of the week. Sorry, not weekend. You're basically at the end of the weekend. But yeah, view Sunday as a head start, basically. Obviously Sunday fun day. Try and do some fun things, but do a little bit of work on the side, prep for Monday, and just do a few physical activities, a couple of chores, and I'll go to church if you're religious, and you feel that sense of accomplishment, and it tells you, hey, if I can get a lot done on Sunday, that means I can get a lot more done on Monday, and then the quicker you can knock Monday out, the quicker you can get through the rest of the week, essentially. But I'm at a point in time where I don't really want time to go fast. I feel like time's going by extremely quick, where these last couple of months have just really felt like very long weeks. It's almost surreal saying that because up until like the age of, man, this is really hard. Up until the age of maybe like 16, I really have to say this, maybe like 16, life was like extremely slow for me. But ever since the age of 16, because now I'm 20, these last 4 years have gone by extremely fast. It's really only felt like, half that amount of time, basically. Um, like I still remember year 10 like if it was yesterday, 2022. And, senior year of high school, 2023 and 2024 went by extremely fast. I remember one of my teachers saying at the beginning of year 11, the senior year of high school, these next, nearly 2 years of your life are going to go by extremely fast. And she was right. They went by extremely fast because you're doing a lot of work. You don't have time to like just look at your watch all day. But then, ever since 2024, I can't believe I finished high school in 2024. Like, to me, right? Like, it's just like, it's so, like, I know it was around nearly, I shouldn't say nearly, it was over 1.5 years ago since I finished a HSC. But to me, as I'm nearing that 2 year mark, it's like really just like I guess freaking me out. Like I can't believe it's been 2 years since I've been to high school. It's just like felt like yesterday. And I guess like for those who are doing the HSC this year, here in New South Wales, I guess when you'll finish the HSC, because I know the HSC is like pretty tough, and I've mentioned it before, but you'll get through it. And something you'll notice is that when you finish a HSC, I want you to look back in maybe like a year's time and go to yourself, wow, it's really been that long, a year? Yeah, life after the HSC just goes by extremely fast, especially with uni and getting part-time jobs, full-time jobs, apprenticeships and all that. Or if you go to TAFE or any other educational institution, like, yeah, it goes by extremely fast. And I feel like my life's going by extremely fast. So I feel like one way to kind of slow things down so I'm in control of things is just to like, try to mix things up. Try to like, I guess, view Sunday as the beginning of the week, So then that way I can have full control of the rest of the week, Use Sunday as like a planning day, Planning what you're going to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, setting out your schedule and really getting prepped. Because I feel like, from my perspective, time's going by really fast. It's often extremely easy to lose track of time. And I'm just going to see if my camera's still recording. Yes, it is. So my phone's on really low battery, so maybe I should just wrap this up a little bit. Time can go by extremely fast. And if you're not in control of time, then you're slowly just going to, I guess, be disorganized and, I guess leave things to the last minute and, just be very, I guess, unprofessional with things and you start forgetting things. But I feel like if you use Sunday as a planning day, you can get ahead of time and you can successfully lay out a plan to conquer the rest of your week. And I felt like that's really helped me a lot. I mean, I have to go back to uni tomorrow, but I feel like this week, sorry, I shouldn't say this week. Oh, well, I should say this week because Sunday's the beginning of the week. That's what I'm trying to like view it as now. But, I guess throughout the next 7 days, that's an uncontroversial way of saying it. Throughout the next 7 days, I'll just, I guess, stick to my plan, and I'll try to take each day one by one, because to me, like, I've heard this a lot about life. It's basically like, the days are long, the weeks are short, the months fly by, and the years seem like non-existent, basically. And, I guess that really applies. And to me, life isn't just about like passing time. It's about the quality. It's basically about the productivity you can get. Like how productive you are, basically. Um, you know, don't just like I guess sit there waiting for time to pass by. Do something. Even if it's something really small, like I don't know, talking in front of a camera all day, or picking up litter off the streets, or cleaning up your room, or just a small act, is basically the seed to a successful life. And that seed will eventually grow into a tree where that tree, I guess, is symbolic of all your achievements and accomplishments. So, you know, yeah, basically that's what I'm trying to, I guess, view time as, just like your life, basically like a tree where it grows and grows with all the work you've done, all the accomplishments, all the social interactions, basically what life is about. And, I feel like one way to control such growth and to control such time is, essentially planning ahead. And, I guess changing up my schedule, changing the way that I think, changing the way that I learn, experimenting with stuff. Um, and that's what I'm trying to, I guess, experiment with. Viewing Sunday as the beginning of the week, because now I'm trying to think to myself, all right, today's day one of the week. How can I, um, you know, conquer day two, day three, day four? Because when you start off things, right, it really, like I said, you really, really need a good start. And I feel like if you start off poor, then the rest of your performance is going to be poor. But if you start off with a good start on Sunday, then that can easily carry over to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, yeah, that's basically all I have to say. You don't necessarily have to agree with everything I'm saying, but it's what I'm trying to, I guess, think now is that, even though in my mind, whenever someone asks me, oh, what's the beginning of the week, I'll just say, oh, Monday. In my mind, I'm trying to think it's Sunday. Just so then I can get ahead of things and get ahead of the week. And for the weekend, to essentially be my time to plan the week ahead, have some rest, and do a little bit of work. So then, yeah, I'm prepared and I can easily get the next week knocked out. Anyway, that's all I have to say, and thank you for watching. Bye. See you then. Take care.